Listen, I need you to pay very close attention to what I'm about to tell you, because if you miss this, you can spend years wondering why your relationships keep slipping out of your hands, why respect fades just when you think you're finally getting it right. Here's the uncomfortable truth most men never learn. People reveal their intentions through simple phrases, not grand gestures, not cinematic moments, casual sentences tossed out in conversation when they think you're not listening closely. And if you don't recognize those signals, you end up investing your time, your focus, and your heart in someone who was never truly invested in you. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through 5 phrases that sound harmless, even caring, but function as psychological red flags. When you hear them, your job is not to argue, persuade, or audition for approval. Your job is to see the pattern, protect your dignity, and step back. This is not about being cold. It's not about resentment. It's about understanding human nature, defending your inner equilibrium, and refusing dynamics that quietly drain your strength. Why does this matter? Because the quality of your relationships shapes the quality of your life. If you keep pairing with partners who do not respect your boundaries, who keep you guessing, who pull you into endless uncertainty, you won't have the clarity or the energy to build the life you're capable of building. One wrong pattern can cost you years, and you'll call it love. What I want for you is simple: clarity over confusion, standards over scrambling, presence over performance. You don't need more lines to say. You need a sharper ear and a steadier spine. So let's begin. Let's decode the language. Let's give you the tools to spot these patterns early before they quietly rewrite your standards and pull you off course. When you hear a woman say, "I don't need a man," I want you to pause. Not to argue, not to take offense, but to really see what's happening beneath that sentence. Because that phrase, it isn't just words. It's a declaration of a frame, a worldview. And if you don't understand what it means, you'll walk straight into a dynamic that quietly erodes your confidence, your peace, and your masculine center. When someone says, "I don't need a man," it's not independence she's expressing. It's irrelevance she's implying. She's telling you, subtly or directly, you add no essential value to my world. And if you accept that message, even unconsciously, you'll begin to contort yourself to prove otherwise. You'll start to chase validation instead of connection. Healthy relationships are never about need. They're about choice. Two people who can stand alone, but still choose to stand together. There's no hierarchy in that. No one is the prize. Both bring something sacred to the table: masculine direction, feminine nurture, mutual respect. But the moment she asserts that she doesn't need you, she's already rewriting that balance. She's saying, "I can do this without you, and you'll have to convince me otherwise." That is not empowerment, it's posturing. It's a defense mechanism dressed up as confidence. True independence never needs to be announced. It's quiet, steady, and secure. But insecurity, it loves to perform strength. Now, here's where most men make the fatal mistake. They hear that sentence and think, challenge accepted. I'll show her I'm not like the others. I'll prove that I'm the one she needs. And that's exactly how they lose themselves. Because the moment you start proving your worth, you've already agreed that it's in question. You've entered her frame. And once you're performing for validation, the respect evaporates. You're no longer the grounded man she was curious about. You've become another man trying to earn a place in her world. And here's the paradox: the harder you try, the less she values you. Respect doesn't grow from effort, it grows from presence, from a calm certainty that says, "I know what I bring, and I don't need to audition for anyone." A woman who genuinely values partnership doesn't need to minimize masculine energy to affirm her own strength. She doesn't need to declare independence to feel powerful. She knows her value and she recognizes yours. So what do you do when you hear this phrase? You don't argue. You don't explain your role. You simply respond with quiet dignity. "I understand. I respect that. I wish you well." No sarcasm, no bitterness, just clarity. Because the truth is this: a woman who leads with, "I don't need a man," isn't ready to receive a man. She's still at war with the idea of partnership, and that's not your battle to fight. Walking away in that moment isn't ego, it's self-respect. You're not punishing her, you're protecting yourself from a dynamic built on imbalance. Remember this. The right woman won't make you feel optional. She'll make you feel chosen. She won't compete with your presence, she'll complement it. And when that kind of woman meets a man who stands firm in his worth, she doesn't say, "I don't need a man." She says, "I'm glad I met one." When a woman tells you, "My ex was better," it hits differently. It's not just a sentence, it's a blade disguised as honesty. Because behind that phrase isn't admiration for someone else, it's disconnection from you. And let's be clear, the moment you hear that, you're no longer in a relationship. You're in a competition with a ghost, a man who isn't even there anymore, a man whose flaws have been edited out and replaced with nostalgia. You can't win against a memory because memory has no edges. It doesn't argue back, it doesn't disappoint, it only grows more perfect with distance. When she compares you to him, especially in his favor, it reveals something crucial. She's still emotionally anchored to the past. Her body might be next to you, but her heart is still orbiting a different story. You can sense it, can't you? The half-present attention, the way her eyes glaze over when you speak, the subtle withdrawal after affection. It's because her emotions are split, and if you don't catch it early, you'll end up fighting for a space that was never fully open to you. No man should ever tolerate being measured against another man in his own relationship. It's a quiet violation of respect. It's psychological erosion, because once comparison enters love, gratitude leaves. She's not seeing who you are, she's grading you against someone else's ghost. And here's the deeper layer. When a woman says something like that, she's not always being cruel. Sometimes she's testing you, testing your boundaries, testing your self-worth. She wants to see if you'll compete for her approval, if you'll bend, chase, overperform, all to win back a position she's already made you doubt. That's the trap. Because the moment you start trying to outdo her ex, you become reactive, not grounded. You start performing instead of being. You shift from masculine presence to anxious validation. And the more you play that game, the more invisible you become. Even if she says it once, even as a joke, those words linger. They echo. They plant small seeds of insecurity that grow quietly inside you. Suddenly you start questioning every gesture. Was that good enough? Did he do it differently? You start comparing yourself to a man who isn't even in the room. And that's the surest way to lose your confidence. Because this isn't about him. It's about her inability to let go. If her ex is still the measuring stick, it means her emotional loyalty still lives there. You're not her partner, you're her distraction. You're the bridge between her past and her next attempt at closure. Men who tolerate this dynamic eventually lose themselves. They stop being authentic, they start editing their behavior, their tone, even their hobbies, trying to fit into someone else's mold. But love isn't found in imitation, it's found in integrity. So what's the path forward? Simple, but not easy. Don't compete, don't defend, don't try to outshine a memory. The moment you accept that challenge, you've already lost your balance. Instead, set a clear boundary with calm, not anger. Say, I'm not here to compete with your past. Either you're with me now, or you're still back there, but I won't share this space with someone who's no longer here. If she respects that, there's hope for maturity. If she doesn't, walk. Not out of spite, but out of self-respect. Because a woman who truly values you won't weaponize her past to control you. She'll protect your peace, not test it. And here's the part most men don't see coming. The next phrase she might use won't sound disrespectful at all. In fact, it will sound kind, even selfless. But it's one of the most deceptive sentences a person can utter. When a woman looks at you and says, "You're too good for me," it sounds like kindness. It sounds gentle, even selfless. But I want you to hear something deeper, because that phrase, in reality, is not humility. It's preparation. It's a soft exit dressed up as virtue. What she's really saying is this: I know I'm not going to give you what you deserve, and I'd rather excuse myself before you notice. It's a sophisticated form of rejection wrapped in false warmth. It's not a compliment, it's an insurance policy. She gets to walk away while still looking like the considerate one. See? I warned him. I told him he deserved better. That's the genius of this phrase. It allows her to leave while keeping her conscience clean. It's emotional self-protection disguised as care. And here's the dangerous part. It makes you doubt yourself. You start thinking, maybe I did ask for too much. Maybe I'm overwhelming. Maybe I should lower my standards. But the moment you start adjusting your standards to fit someone else's limitations, you stop being the man you were becoming. This is how subtle manipulation works. It doesn't scream. It whispers. It doesn't push you away directly. It convinces you to step back voluntarily. Now, why do men fall for it? Because it feels good at first. Hearing, "you're too good," strokes the ego. It creates this small surge of pride, a fleeting dopamine hit. You think, she sees my value, but it's poison disguised as praise. Because right after the high comes the confusion. You start chasing her reassurance instead of living in your confidence. Men often respond to this phrase by trying to fix it. They start saying, "No, you're perfect for me. Don't say that, you're enough." And with every sentence, they sink deeper into a dynamic where they're pleading for acceptance from someone who's already half out the door. Here's the truth. If she truly saw your worth, she wouldn't distance herself from it. She'd grow toward it. She'd step up, not back away. A woman who values a man doesn't tell him he's too good. She tells him, "I want to be the kind of woman who deserves a man like you." So when you hear those words, your reaction shouldn't be to comfort or convince. It should be to agree, calmly, without spite. Maybe you're right. I do deserve better. And I hope you find what you're looking for too. Watch what happens then. The dynamic shifts instantly because you just broke the pattern she expected. You didn't play the savior, the fixer, or the pleaser. You stayed grounded. You stayed centered. This isn't arrogance, it's self-respect. You're not punishing her. You're acknowledging reality. You're recognizing that love built on guilt isn't love at all. It's obligation. And obligation never leads to fulfillment. It leads to resentment. So walk away with grace, with calm eyes and an even calmer heart. Because the woman who's truly meant for you won't hide behind excuses or self-deprecation. She'll see your worth and rise to meet it. She won't say, "You're too good for me." She'll say, "You make me want to be better." Remember this, the real test of someone's character isn't in what they say about you. It's in how they show up for you when things get real. Words sound nice, actions tell the truth. When a woman says, "I'm not ready for a relationship," most men hear it as timing. They think it's circumstantial. They think she just needs time to heal, to focus on herself, to get things in order. But let's be honest about what's really happening underneath that sentence. When she says she's not ready, what she often means is, "I'm not ready for you." Because if the right man appeared, the one who truly moved her, the one who awakened something real, she'd find a way to be ready. She'd take the risk, she'd make space, she'd lean in. The truth is, timing isn't usually the issue. Interest is. A woman who's genuinely drawn to you doesn't need perfect conditions to connect. She doesn't overthink the calendar, her job, her emotional season. When she feels something deep, she'll face her fears to keep it. She'll take that chance. But when she says, "I'm not ready," what she's really doing is giving you a polite exit ramp, a soft rejection that lets her feel kind while keeping her options open. She's not saying, "Go away forever." She's saying, "Stay close enough that I don't lose you, but far enough that I can explore my curiosity elsewhere." You're not her partner, you're her placeholder. And if nothing better comes along, she knows where to find you. Now here's where men fall into the trap. They tell themselves, "I'll wait. I'll be patient. She just needs time." That's not patience, that's self-abandonment. You're not being noble, you're being used. You're offering loyalty where none has been earned. You're giving her the benefits of your presence, your attention, your emotional support, while she gives you uncertainty in return. And while you're waiting, she's not sitting alone, meditating about her life. She's dating, she's exploring, she's seeing who else might give her that spark she didn't feel with you. You're not waiting for her to heal. You're waiting for her to choose. And here's the painful truth. When she finally decides she's ready, it's almost never for the man who waited. You've seen this pattern before. The man who stands by quietly, only to watch her fall for someone else weeks later. It's not that she suddenly became ready. It's that she found the feeling she was missing. And if that doesn't sting, it should awaken you, because every moment you spend waiting for her clarity is a moment you could be building yours. So what's the right response? It's simple but powerful. Believe her. When she says she's not ready, take her at her word. But don't wait. Don't negotiate. Don't turn it into a project. Just say calmly, I understand. I hope you find what you're looking for. And then you move forward, not backward, because a woman who genuinely wants you won't ask you to wait indefinitely. She won't risk losing you while she figures things out. She'll work through her fears beside you, not apart from you. That's what emotional maturity looks like. Your time is your most valuable resource. Don't spend it sitting in someone else's waiting room, hoping the door will finally open. The man who respects his time sends a message without saying a word. I am the opportunity you hesitated on. And if you think this phrase was manipulative, wait until you hear the next one. It sounds noble, even spiritual. But beneath it lies one of the most deceptive emotional tactics in modern relationships. When she looks at you and says, I need to find myself, it sounds poetic. It sounds deep. But you have to learn to hear what's behind that phrase, because more often than not, it's not about self-discovery at all. It's about escape. That sentence usually translates to, I want to explore other options without feeling guilty for leaving you. It's a polite exit strategy disguised as a spiritual awakening. Because the truth is, finding yourself doesn't require abandoning someone who genuinely cares. Growth and relationship aren't enemies. They can exist side by side. Have you noticed how quickly this so-called journey ends when she meets someone new? Suddenly, she's not confused anymore. She's not lost. She's found herself in another man's attention. Nothing magical happened in her soul. Her circumstances just changed. What shifted wasn't her growth. It was her interest. And that's what makes this phrase dangerous. It keeps you on standby while she gambles on finding something better. You're still there, still hopeful, still convincing yourself she's working on herself. But what she's really doing is keeping her emotional door half open, just in case her search doesn't work out. And if it doesn't, you're still in orbit, ready to take her back. Men fall for this because it sounds noble, it sounds mature. You think, she's healing, I should respect that. But respect and self-sabotage aren't the same thing. You can wish her well without waiting for her return. The truth is, most men don't stay because they're naive. They stay because they've already invested. The sunk cost fallacy. You've poured in time, emotion, energy. Leaving feels like waste. But staying, that's the real loss, because it costs you something far more valuable than time, your self-respect. Here's what you need to remember. A woman who truly values you doesn't push you out of her life to find herself. She invites you into her journey. She grows beside you. She doesn't need to lose you to become more of who she is. So if she says it, believe her. But don't beg. Don't wait. Don't argue. Just nod, wish her well, and walk. Not in anger, not in pride, but in clarity. Because peace comes when you stop trying to convince someone to keep you while they're already halfway gone. The right woman won't find herself away from you. She'll find herself with you through the life you build together. So there you have it, 5 phrases that every man needs to recognize. 5 signals that tell you when it's time to pause, reflect, and in most cases, walk away. But listen, this isn't about being cold. This isn't about closing your heart. It's about valuing your presence enough to stop giving it to people who haven't earned it. Every minute you spend tolerating mixed signals, disrespect, or uncertainty is a minute stolen from your purpose, your peace, and the love that's meant for you. Now imagine this: waking up next to a woman who doesn't play games, who doesn't compare you to her past, who doesn't need to find herself because she's already at peace being with you. That kind of relationship exists, but you'll never find it if you keep waiting for the wrong one to change. So here's my challenge to you. If this message hit something real inside you, subscribe, stay close. Because the next conversation might be the one that finally frees you from the patterns that keep holding you back. You weren't born to be an option. You were born to be respected. You're not here to be tolerated, you're here to be celebrated. Now go reclaim your power.